Welcome to World Rowing's Coastal Race Management Keynote series. In this session, we're going to be looking at the safe on-water management of rowing. My name's Guin Batten. I'm a former Olympic silver medalist and Coastal World Champion, and really looking forward, delighted that you're here, and I hope you're going to enjoy the next session. So let's get going. Before we get going in this session, I've got a task, a challenge for you, and you've got 5 minutes. You need a pen and a piece of paper. You may want to stop the video for 5 minutes while you do this task. All right, are you ready? I would like you to write down as many things a coach needs to do before a crew goes on the water. Are you ready? Go. How many things did you get? Okay, what I'd like you to do is keep your list, hold on to your list, and as we get through the next 2 keynotes, you'll be able to check back and see how well you've done. All right, if you're in a group session, brilliant, your tutor will be running through this challenge with you in groups, and hopefully you'll get some prizes if you're the winning group. So, in this session, we're going to introduce the practical stages and steps to managing a water session. This is focusing very much on the rowing itself and the planning and preparation that goes around that. And we're going to explore why we do each of these steps, why they're taken. Okay. So we've worked really hard to try and simplify and break down the steps and stages for the safe management of a water session. These have been broken down into 4 key areas. Planning, which takes place a week, typically a week, sometimes more than that, but a week to 24 hours before a session takes place. Then the pre-launch, which is in essence the few hours, the morning before, the few hours before a session takes place. The things you would do on water, and then the things that you would do at the end of the session. So we've called them planning, pre-launch, on water, post-landing. So we're going to look in detail at each of these in turn and explore why they're important for a coach to do. So in planning, we've got 5 steps in here. It's really important to know what rowers you have so you can judge what you're going to take the athletes out into based on their skill, whether or not they have any underlying health or injury conditions, whether or not they've done their swim test, whether or not they've done their capsize or their beach orientation. That allows you to plan what you're going to do with them. Also, the paperwork becomes really important. Do you have permission from their parents? Have they signed up to and agreed to the club requirements, the club rules and regulations? Those are all really important bits to allow you to improve your planning and run a better session, but also to protect you, to make sure they know, they're aware of what they are going to do. Okay, what equipment? Really important, whether or not you're going out in 1 quad or whether or not you're going out in 4 or 5 solos, and whether or not you've got a safety boat, whether or not you have access to all of those things that are fundamentally important before you start planning. A generic risk assessment is critically important for any club training area or a training camp area or even an area that you're going on to. So that assessment of risk and the controls and barriers that you as a club put into place on that. Then of course the plan, so what your plan is for the session. We're calling this a float plan during this, and it's basically when you're going, who's going, and when you'll be back in its simplest form. Next session we go into that in a little bit more detail, and then of course the bits of coaching and the rowing training and which skills you're going to be working on, etc. So those are the items that are in 5 items under planning. Why would we do that? We do that so that you as the coach can have all the key information in one place, so it's readily available for you. It allows you to make good quality decisions without the pressures of time, which you would experience if you were trying to do it in the moments before you went onto the water. In some countries, it's really critical that you have undertaken a written risk assessment and appropriate mitigations and a float plan, and they are required by law or for insurance. So make sure you know that and talk to your national federation to make sure it's there. And really, simply put, it's evidence that you are a good coach. And if something did go wrong, that it would be evidence to show that you had taken good decisions and that you had planned. Because we can never guarantee exactly what's out there. So simply, planning is good practice. So let's go up onto pre-launch. So this is the activities that you do just before you go onto the water. So it's about a dynamic risk assessment. So you've got this generic risk assessment, which you probably change once a year. The dynamic risk assessments is you're seeing what the weather is presenting in front of you, whether any of your athletes have dropped out, etc. So it's a reassessment of that risk based on exactly what's in front of you. It's the safety checks that you'll do on the boat. It's the briefing that you will give the athletes just before they go onto the water. And then it's the critical signing out what time you're leaving, to make sure you tell someone what time you're due back. And then, of course, it's taking the boat down to the water, getting ready to do that all-important launch. So why are we doing that? In the moments before going in the water, people are always keen to get out. They always want to do it. They put pressure on you and it's in that moment that some of these key stages get caught out. You forget the VHF radio, you forget your mobile phone, you forget to check that you've got enough life jackets on the stern of their boat. All those little things are really important. Gives you a chance to modify the plan if there's any last minute changes. As I said, if some of your key athletes drop out or a safety boat's not available. Making sure that the boat and the crew have everything they need. Number of times I bet your athletes have forgotten a water bottle, or whether or not they've put suntan cream on or whatever. Gives you that double check to make sure. And also in the briefing, it allows everyone to know what the plan is and to remind them what to do if it all goes wrong. How do they call for help, etc. And also it allows you to leave in the signing out process. It allows you to make sure that somebody has your float plan, so that if you don't come back at the time you said you were due to be back, they know who to go and look for, what colour boats, and where you went. And of course, good lifting, always important to make sure people don't injure themselves as they transport the boats down to the water's edge. So those are the whys we do those tasks before the launch. So let's look at what goes on the water. So on the water, really simple. This is the bit where you'll be most familiar with as an experienced coach. Safe launching and landing. We've got a whole session on that, and it's critical that you undertake that you practice the simple tasks when the water's good, so that if the wind does blow up when you're out and you need to land in big conditions, that your rowers have practiced that. Warming up and drills, really important. So many people just go out on the water and row and then wonder why they don't get better and better. So warming up, what technical drills they're going to do, then the training and coaching, and then the landing. And it's all about, really, the why is all about getting the most out of the time on the water and giving your athletes a sense of progression and enjoying the experience. And it's important that you enjoy, as a coach, you'll enjoy it as they progress and get better too. So look at the stages about after the session, so post landing. So in here, you're signing back in, you're standing down in essence to say that you're back all in one piece. You're washing down the boat and replacing any safety equipment so it can dry or recharge. The radio can recharge and the life jackets can dry. you're debriefing the crew, and then you're reporting any damage so that the club know if any of the boats or equipment have been damaged. The signing in, as I said, lets people know you're back. You're protecting by washing down and replacing the equipment. You're protecting it from salt and mold and all of the sorts of things that come with sport that takes place on the sea. You're giving feedback to the crew and you're getting feedback from the crew. Critical in their sense of progression, and again, reporting any damage or incidents or near misses so that you as a club and other coaches can learn. Okay, so that's it really for the 4 steps of managing a water session. We're going to go through the next 2 in more detail in the next 2 keynote sessions. So if you want more information on this, go into the coastal booklet that's available on the World Rowing website. It's a great resource. Let me take you to that now. So you can go into the coaching section of what the World Rowing website, go into level 1, scan down, and you can see the Learn to Row coastal booklet here. That's a great resource in there, and that runs through some of the items that I was talking about in this keynote. You can also go into the rules of racing, because in there is the rowers and crew captains' obligations. They're critical safety features in there. So again, if you go onto the World Rowing website, you'll need to look for the rule book and head down to English and French. And as you go in, make sure you head down into the World Rowing Coastal Championships appendix. And at the beginning of that, you will see the rowers and coaches' obligations about being on the sea. There also, if you go into the back into the coaching section, you'll also see there's a minimum guidelines for the safe practice of rowing. It's a really good source in there to look at some of the advices of things that you as a coach should put in place to make sure your athletes are having fun, they're safe, and of course going as fast as you can get them to go. So really just want to say, as I finally leave you on this, also head into the coach's toolkit, but I'm going to leave you with a little bit of a phrase. As a coach, it's your duty to empower your athletes with the knowledge and skills to be safe on the sea. Well done on completing another great session. If you like what you heard, make sure you comment below. Tell us about your stories and share your videos with us. And if you want to learn more about what's going on in coastal rowing, head over to worldrowing.com. See you later. Take care.